It's basically like a low biodiversity grass meadow. It hasn't been managed very intensively for wildlife or for kind of different wildflower species and vegetation. And the other thing that's happened is the woodland has kind of encroached on the meadow. So traditionally it was much bigger, expansive meadow. And the way to manage it for wildlife is to try and create a patchwork or diversity of habitats. The beauty of aquatic plants is they're rooting into wet mud, so they don't take much, they take off very quickly. You'll come back in 2 months and it'll be unrecognisable, they'll be this high. But if we plant any of them around that the margins of that pond, margins of here, they'll work, you know what I mean? It's just damp feet.
They had a digger come in a couple of months ago, scraped all that out, and then they created different levels in the wetland area over here to encourage different types of habitat.
Try and get more light in, because light is really what gives life to any freshwater habitat. If we get light into the water, we're going to have more plants growing in the...
Well, certainly those lower limbs should come out quite easily.
Yeah, I think if we're going to do it, make an impact to just take off that side. Yeah. So we've put up several bat boxes in different locations on different aspects of trees, just to provide different roost sites at different times of year. Bats will use some in summertime. Female bats will use them as maternity roosts at different times of the year as well. Male bats moving around in the autumn time looking for mates might use them as temporary roosts. So we've put quite a few up, and we're going to need to see later in the season if they start to be used.
Use the silt that have built up. It's very soft, so you can very quickly go up to your thigh in areas. So just be careful. What I tend to do is have a stick with me and sort of just try first if you're really getting close to the water.
Planting lots of native aquatic vegetation, marginal planting. The point of that is that they're adapted to this environment. They're going to bring in a lot of invertebrates and insects, dragonflies and lots of bugs that other creatures will feed on.
Trying to clear the balsam weed, which is an invasive species which will suppress the ones we're trying to encourage. So initial hard work, but for a good purpose.
So it's a male smooth newt, just out of the water, and he's lost his crest, but you can still see just a little bit of colour under his tail, and his little lump under the tail says he's a male. I just found him here when I was picking the balsam. There's a little baby frogs in the grass meadow as well.
So here's one of last year's baby frogs that I've just found at the edge of the scrape. It's found as we were clearing the balsam away from the water's edge over here.
I don't think so.
Normally big.
We're removing the Himalayan balsam so that we can let the natural species thrive.
To get more light.
So things like these sedges, each of these bunch of sedges is going to grow into a massive, large, thick bunch. Okay, so you probably only need one there, and one there, and maybe 3 at a time is absolutely fine, because that will create a big. You can plant those in drifts in amongst the taller things, and again keep the same species together to a certain extent, and plant in groups of 3, 5, 7, and you can plant them staggered, kind of like this, up and down, like that, so you get a little drift, and then you can kind of intermingle them with another little drift, weaving in and out.
I mean, I love being in the outdoors, and I just like to see it being taken care of, really.
Well, this feels like a very good thing to be doing on a Saturday morning, and very different from what I would be doing during the week, and an opportunity to create something that is going to be of value and of beauty for everybody around.
It's lovely to have this sort of space free to do something with, to make a positive contribution to biodiversity.
Last December I was part of the cohort that came down to help clear what was a very overgrown meadow, Bole's Meadow. So it seemed logical to come along to the next step, a bit more interesting, just doing the planting to make it more biodiverse and bat friendly.
The water's going to rise, so we've kind of got to move back a little bit.
This is a hibernaculum that we created over the winter whilst we cleared a lot of the open land around the waters. It's a safe place where things like frogs, newts can hibernate over the winter. We basically dug a huge pit. We filled it with solid things like pots and pans and large stones to create a stable base, and then we started to put large logs, gradually getting smaller up until the top, and then covered it with some mud to create a stable platform, and then created some drainage holes at the bottom so that it doesn't get too watery.
Well, it's been great to see so many engaged volunteers doing something for their local environment and community. We're making great progress. We've put in hundreds of plants. It's going to look really fantastic in a couple of months' time and hopefully bring in lots of bugs and birds and bats, which is the whole point of the project.